Hello, it's me, Jess. Welcome to my channel. I'm here with another channeled message. This is a specific message. It might resonate with you. It might not. All right. So this message is coming off the back of a reading that I did over on Patreon. So those of you that are over there, this will make a lot more sense. And I'm recording this the next day. So I haven't been able to shake this energy, and I've really gone deeper into this energy, and it's unlocked an entire message that I feel like Spirit is wanting to give. So if you're following along with that, then it's pile number 3 in the last reading that we did for March, and it was the clarifying your karma reading. And in that reading, I was picking up on the energy of an affair, but it was somebody that I think regularly has affairs, or they like start their relationships off with affairs. And that person is off their path, their spiritual path in a certain sense. Now, what I mean by that is the spiritual path is often referred to as the straight and narrow. And what it means is that you're on it or you're not. And to me, it is highly, highly linked with your values, your morals, and your principles. And so either this is a person that has affairs because they haven't taken the time to really think about who they want to be as a person and what morals and values and principles they should be in alignment with in order to maintain that energy. And to me, I'm visualizing the sun because the sun is ourself and it has our philosophies. There's a reason that it rules over those two things together. And it's the energy that you shine out into the world, because the sun, what makes the sun different as an entity, if you will, is that it pushes energy out at such a high rate. Well, that's what we are doing. So when we're doing that, and if you're doing that and it's in alignment with your values, then you are pushing that energy out very strong, and it's clarifying as to who you are in the space. Now, something has gone on here, because this, to me, it looks like a third party situation, but the energy frequencies have gotten scrambled here, where now all of a sudden it's confusing as to who is who and what is what in the situation, because it could have been somebody acted out of their morals, values, and principles and colluded with an energy like this. And now their frequency is scrambled, right? That sun energy that they emit of this is who I am. And when I stand in the holism of that, I am giving clear signals to the people around me. I am this person. I do this thing. I'm interested in you for this reason. This is what has gotten kind of scrambled, and it's on an energetic level. And when I was talking about pile number 3, man, it's even coming through a little bit in this. When I was talking about that, I kept getting like scrambled a bit, but the way that it was coming across is I kept picturing them driving a car along the road, which is a metaphor for tootling along their path, in life. And there was this temptation by this frequency that I'm picking up on that is a very scrambling frequency. And I want to just define that for a second, because we talk about earth angels a lot, but if there are earth angels, there are earth demons, okay? And I'm not trying to be inflammatory with my language, but that's what I'm talking about, is earth angels are really in alignment with truth. They have that clarifying sun energy. They're walking in alignment with their morals. Not that they're perfect people all the time, but that's the path that they're on. And that's what they're trying to stay on. They're trying to like themselves, they're trying to live up to the person that they are and know they can be, etc. And this earth demon kind of frequency is this scrambled energy, because for whatever reason, there's like not that sense of self. They don't know who they are. And I'm not saying that they haven't been through hard things and that they're not beloved by God, but they need to get back on their path. And if and until they do, they just tempt other people off of their path. They're working for the wrong energies. That's what's going on here. So like I said, I was seeing somebody kind of tootling along their path, and then they receive a temptation from this kind of an energy scrambler energy. And it may have even happened in an energy scrambling environment. Maybe it was chaotic. Maybe there were drugs or drinking or something involved. It could have, the energy frequency here is just scrambled. And I'm seeing this person kind of like take a left off of their path, but they go into a tunnel. And I was using that metaphor of a tunnel. And I don't know if it's true now in modern times, but remember back in the day, like when you would go into a tunnel, it would scramble like your cell phone frequency. You couldn't get service in there. And that's what I'm talking about. It's this scrambling energy. And so it's very confusing, especially for spiritual people, when you're trying to navigate and you can't get in touch with your intuition as easily because you've already knocked yourself in a way. Again, I'm not trying to be blamey here. I'm trying to describe what's going on. You've already lowered your frequency in a certain way by colluding with this energy. And in doing so, you're off your path. And so all the tools that you're using to navigate, or that you're used to using to navigate, are getting all scrambled and your wires are getting crossed. And that's because you're in a location that God didn't want you in. Because I don't want to say, and I said this in the reading, I don't want to say that God can't reach you here in this tunnel, because I believe that God can reach us anywhere. But I'm hearing that there's a Bible verse that says, "My love is written on your heart." And so it's harder to hear, I think, via the crown chakra, if you will, via like your intuitive downloads. And that includes using the tarot. Because the way that they were showing me the scrambling frequency, and I think this is very apt because all of us are meeting here using the tarot. So they were showing me that when this kind of a person is involved, okay, and either you involved with them or somebody that you are dealing with is involved with them. So for instance, what I mean by that is if, obviously if you're involved with them, that's pretty straightforward. Like you were the one that had an affair with that person. You were the one that engaged with that person's energy. But it can also be equally confusing for somebody that, like, your partner had an affair with this person and now you don't know who your partner is. That's what I'm saying. It's like, this is a kind of confusing energy. It throws a blanket of confusion over everything. And I think that part of what was difficult for me in that reading is like, look, if you're the person that you went off your path, you had an affair with somebody here, and it's this scrambler kind of frequency, your actual partner doesn't know who you are. And so you need to have a conversation with that person. You need to confess. You need to have that hard conversation, because you might think that it's clear that you're a good person and that you just got wrapped up in the wrong thing. But I think the way that this situation would have happened is that it really throws your personality into doubt. It really throws your virtues into doubt. In some kind of way. Like, are you the liar? Have you been scheming? Have you been lying to me? Have you been putting on a front, this whole time? You're really not the person that I thought you were. Like, it's that's what's going on here, is there's like a scrambler kind of frequency. And the other thing that I want to say is, like, in nature, there's this phenomenon, I can't remember what it's called, but like poison ivy and jewelweed. So jewelweed is an antidote to poison ivy, and they grow in a similarly like same place. See how confusing that was? I could have just said they grow in the same place, but instead I had to be like, they grow in a similarly same place, which isn't proper English, but good luck following that. So you get what I'm saying. They grow near each other. And there's that phenomenon all throughout nature that a lot of times where you run into something problematic, you can run into something very positive. And I think if this is a third party situation, you've got one person here who is the truth, who is the sun energy, who is emitting that. And in a way, that's God's love. Trying to cut through the bullshit, trying to cut through the confusion. But it doesn't mean that person's not going to get confused themselves, staring out, looking at what's going on and being like, I literally have no idea who you are, So that's gone on here in a certain situation. And I know I jumped around here a bit. Oh my gosh. See what I'm saying? This is just the energy of this. And actually, this is reminding me of a phase that I went through as a tarot reader. I've talked about this before, where I would speak until my throat would bleed because I was so determined to try to be clear, and I could tell that it wasn't clear, or that I was just hearing in my mind the way that people could misunderstand like what it was that I was saying. And then I would have to take that burden on, but it's because there was some person like this that was involved in the energy that I was reading somewhere. And you have to figure out where, and that might be a confusing bit for you, and maybe move away from the situation. But I'm seeing that so clearly. But like I said, Spirit was showing me this scrambler effect using the tarot of, okay, I'm gonna try and understand this person or that person, but you could be drawn into your own energy, or you could oh my gosh, I'm literally hearing myself say that. In the readings, it's something you have to be aware of, but then also be aware that there's somebody here that's like scrambling the frequencies. And to get involved with that person, especially in a schmegdual way, it's a gateway. It's a gateway to this tunnel where now all of a sudden the energies are being scrambled, and you're not stuck in that tunnel forever, but you have to navigate using your heart to get out of the tunnel. And in a way, maybe you could call this a spiritual test or something like that. It's not one that needed to be taken, but it was one that was chosen as soon as somebody went in for a temptation. Some kind of energy that was not in alignment with their principles and values. And that's how it has to go to get involved with this kind of earth demon energy, is what I'm getting. It's not in alignment with your, and we've all probably done this at one stage in our life or another, at a low point. I'm thinking that that's another thing too. Like, it could have been a busy time in your life. This is the kind of energy that likes to knock you when you are down or when you need to be on, And I feel like, yeah, energetically, it feels like there was a targeting here. So like I said, if you're in this tunnel and everything's feeling confused and you feel like you're off your path and there is some kind of third party energy or something that's beneath you in terms of like your morals or your principles or something like that, then you have to get back to emitting your sun frequency in a way that is strong and robust. Meaning you are in alignment with your philosophies. You are in alignment with your values and your principles. And the way to do that is probably going to be difficult. We're probably going to have to, the sun is a communicative energy, but it communicates with its body and with its expression. So you may have to have a hard conversation with somebody. Or for some of you, you could have gotten like trapped by this energy where there's some kind of, you've gotten in the state of confusion, you've signed a contract or karmically or otherwise, and you've got to break that contract, and that might hurt you, other people, and I think it would out you, actually. And that's the sacrifice energy, sacrificial energy. And that's a loaded word, but to sacrifice means to make sacred. Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice, right? And so I feel like you have to sacrifice yourself or your reputation or something. And like I mentioned in that reading, it's in a way giving justice to the other people in the situation that were wronged, because getting involved with this energy, you're off your path, which means you're not on your path with the souls that required you to be on your path. And so there needs to be a forgiveness kind of movement, but this needs to occur energetically first, where you're breaking with the energy that you colluded against your life path people, your soulmate energies with, and you probably hurt those people in some way, whether you know it or not. And you could have hurt these people by your absence, whether they know it or not, because I'm just getting that God was like, you are to be with this person at this time. Trust me. I need you there. Be in position. Okay. I just heard imposition. Like, so, yeah. And maybe you felt something here was an imposition, or I don't know. But this is part of the scrambler frequency. Like where you feel like you needed to right a wrong here in this situation, but then it would have scrambled your frequency. And I think had you not involved with this energy, if this is you, see, this is the other thing. I start getting so confused because it's like, I don't know where you're at in this. And I start saying you, but that's what I'm saying is like this energy scrambles, and it's like, it might be you. It might be somebody that you're dealing with. It might be somebody that they're dealing with. Whoever this is, it's just, that's the energy that I'm focused on. And so then I start speaking like to the person. So I hope I'm not confusing you, because it might well not be you, but whoever has colluded with this energy, I think that was part of the scrambling frequencies about what their principles are. Because I think, first of all, it puts some of their principles and values at loggerheads with one another, where all of a sudden it was like, well, I want to save face and appear a certain way to like a social group. And if I say what I did, and if I say I'm sorry, it might get around, or I don't know. But I also have a principle and a value to be honest. It could have put you at odds with yourself in some way, like your own best interest, or it could have been two principles and values that you have, or you may have had to take a risk of like somebody yelling at you or whatever, and you, in a sense, were tempted off your path over here too. It's like you didn't mean to cause harm or whatever, but it has to be overcome. And that's where I'm hearing that word imposition, because even to right this wrong and to get back on your path, I think you would have had to confront something here, and take a risk. And that's because that's required in part because you're getting your sun energy back online, where you have to push out your sun energy so that everybody involved in the situation knows exactly who you are. And that if that was a mistake, make very damn good and well sure clear that everybody involved, including the person you did it with, knows that it was a mistake and that it was beneath you and it should never have happened. And that is what I feel like. It might well cause a tower moment, but keep in mind that person's in earth demon frequency, scrambling all over the place. And I think they're in a habit of doing something negative. And it might be multiple things negative, but I kind of feel like it's this cheating thing, or there's something here, and that will it's going to hurt their ego, and possibly they're standing in a community or something. But that's the kind of pain that's going to wake them up, or it will give them the best chance at waking them up. And so for some of you, this demon frequency, whatever was involved with, it probably sucked you into some kind of victim, rescuer, persecutor. And maybe that's also keeping you silent. See what I'm saying? This is the scrambling that's going on. Well, I don't want to out them, or I don't want to make them feel bad. They need to be made to feel bad. They did something that was wrong. It's not the first time. It won't be the last. Okay. So you got sucked into a rescuer, victim, persecutor, and you're like, I'm rescuing this person. And no, you're not, because rescuing this person means standing up to them. It means saying, this is wrong. I am not down with it. And actually, I fuck with those people over there. and they deserve their justice, and they deserve to know that I fuck with them over there. Sun energy is heart energy to me. My heart is over there. My values are over there. My relationship is over there. So let me be very clear about that. And that's how you're going to do the least amount of harm. And some of that harm may have to go to you if you've colluded this, because it feels like whoever you fucked around with and you are going to receive the bulk of the harm, and Spirit saying that is as it should be. That is as it should be, because ain't nobody else did nothing to you. So this is the balancing that's kind of required here. But I can see that in this tunnel, it's really hard for you to hear because of the shame. Probably that's going to add. It's also all these plutonic emotions, right? Like that's what I think was activated here. And it's because of shame. And so the shame is there because you acted out of your integrity. If you're the good person that fell for a temptation here, and you don't go around doing this as a matter of habit in order to form an identity, in order to bolster your self-esteem. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, earth demon frequency. And they can be as nice as they want, and they can have all their manners and all their politeness, and they can cut a real normal image, okay? But somebody who is in that energy of the building themselves, from taking from others, from knocking from others, competing with others as a social habit, that is someone in earth demon frequency. If that's not you and you just colluded with a person like that, especially schmegulally, then it's going to initiate some kind of shame. For them, it initiates pride. Regardless of what they're saying to you, for them, it initiates pride to having tempted you off your path. They feel good about that. They feel like that's their sense of self, and they're rivaling themselves with whoever is actually on your path, whether this is a romantic situation or not. And they're saying, yeah, I'm more you than you, bitch. That's what they're saying. And they're happy. And I got all the stuff you're supposed to get. That makes me you. I have an identity now. That's what it is. So you're not the same as this person. And that's why you're not to be over there. You're supposed to follow where you go. But that if you're not that person and you just colluded with that person, it's going to bring up shame. And shame is that very cloudy emotion. And you could be feeling very raw and very vulnerable. And in trying to navigate with that shame, that's what's clicking in that plutonic energy, where you are trying to get very strategic because there's certain things that you want to hide, and there's certain things that you want to hide because it's shameful. And that's exactly the wrong way to deal with this situation. You have to out shame, because as Brene Brown says in her famous TED Talk, which some of you might want to listen to, shame grows in secrecy and silence, just like a mold, in like a petri dish. And that's the energy between you and this other person. So please don't foster this mold. Get away from this person as soon as possible for your own good. And I also just heard for the good of your children. Get away from this person as soon as possible, because sunlight is the best disinfectant. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And so I'm hearing from a movie where, it's from Mean Girls. When Katie takes responsibility for the burn book, she didn't even write all the burn book. And I feel like that's another thing. It's like, take responsibility for this situation. Yeah, you didn't act alone, but you were the one that knew better. If you colluded with this energy, there was exactly one of you that knew better. And there was exactly one of you that desperately needed this to occur in order to form a sense of identity. And that's the way that they go about everything in their life. And the true rescuer for them is going to be themselves. And the true helper for that person is somebody who, wouldn't collude with them in the first place. Okay, so I don't think it's you if you've colluded with this energy, because they need someone to stand in their sun energy and say, this is wrong. And I don't want to be a part of it. And I would never hurt somebody that I'm already with over here. And that's going to shine a very powerful light, and one that they can't poke at, because if you've colluded with this energy, they're going to say, yeah, but you did this and you did that. And you're going to have to say, yeah, I did, and it was wrong. And you're going to show them the way out, of like having to apologize. So that could be very valuable for this person too, but it needs to happen. That's the justice energy here. But I feel like it's scrambling because you're like, well, I'm not a bad person and I don't want to take responsibility for the whole burn book. But like right before she does take responsibility, she thinks, I can't remember the love interest's name, right? But she's like, well, bye forever. You're going to hate me. And I feel like it's a paradox point. It's a paradox point, because actually it shows your alignment with the truth and with doing the right thing. And so if anybody's going to take you back or be interested in you, that's actually the strongest aphrodisiac you have, is just saying, I messed up exactly one time. Know that about me. I did make a mistake. Let me be very clear. You can see in what I'm doing now, that was a mistake. It was a fluke. It was a one-time thing. That mistake stops now because I'm taking responsibility, and I'm respecting you, and I'm giving you your justice. And that's the person I am. So I hope that you took away whatever you needed to from this, because I'm still in this energy kind of feeling a little confused and all over the place of who is who and what is what and what should I do and what should I scramble out. And I think, again, if you're that person that was knocked, like you were tempted off your path, I don't think you realize that that's what's going on, that it's something much deeper than just punishing you for a mistake, because you know who you are, but that has not been expressed clearly in this situation to all the people that were involved. Even if the partner that you cheated on is somebody that you've been with for a while, there's something about this other energy that you involved with that's so confusing. And it's the way that they are competing with this person. It's what they're doing behind your back, to rub it in this person's face. And you're over there colluding with that energy. You just can't wait for the world to know, hey, we're friends, we hang out, or we do other things together. It's on some nasty. You don't understand here. It has to do with sun energy. And somebody here is the truth and they're in alignment. And so they're seeing things very clear. They're seeing things more clearly than you. And you don't understand that it's not just about punishing you for a single mistake. Because I think that's the way you're thinking about it. You're taking this really harshly. This was just a mistake. Did you apologize? Did you make it very clear that it was just a mistake? And how did you do that? Did you do that by yelling that it was just a mistake and then feeling entitled to this person's forgiveness? Or did you really put up on an offering, I will tell you whatever you want to know. I'm standing in the light of day. Your decision is yours. That is clarifying yourself. All right. So sorry if this one was harsh. I'm sorry if it was confusing, but I feel like that hit some kind of bedrock, because I feel some of you are trapped in this tunnel right now. And the heart energy is what's going to lead you out of it. And for some, I guess that's a spiritual test. Follow your heart. You have to follow your heart out of this, but the heart might be breaking because you broke someone else's. But your intuition is all scrambled. And your shame is activated and you're in a plutonic energy. And so you are acting in a very strategic manner. And I think this may have informed ever since you went off on this temptation energy, it informed like the way that you were navigating, which means you've made more than one possibly crucial decision in a sneaky energy. And that's expressing here, because somebody here knows that they deserve a direct conversation. And I just heard the word confrontation, that they should be given an opportunity to confront you, and that you should hand them that opportunity to confront you. If you are a good person in this situation, if you are taking accountability in this situation, if in fact this is out of character for you, or if you're on the mend, like, well, I was in some toxic ass energy, but I'm different now. Be different then. Right? So it's about stepping out of this energy. And for some of you, I mean, if this has resulted in some kind of contract that has kept you bound, whether that's involving money or if it's like a marriage contract or something, this may have been an extended period of time. And it's an energy that maybe you feel sick, you feel not yourself. And your energy is weakened around this other person, but it's not who you truly are. It's just because you're bound by your shame and this person that you're with has none. And that's why they're strong in that space. And it probably feels isolating. It's giving like how an abuser isolates their victim, because you're isolated in this tunnel, this energetic tunnel. And I almost feel like anybody in that tunnel maybe had to fall prey to some kind of temptation. They had to not live up to themselves. That's one way that people get around this other person, this person that you're with. But I think they would screen everybody in and out for loyalty, basically, that they know they can control those people. And that's why those are the people that are around you. And it just adds to like your level of entrapment. There's no way out of this without standing up for yourself, and therefore standing up to this energy. And I think that for some of you, that's the way you got to think about. You got to stand up for yourself and for goodness and for what you truly believe in, because you would have veered off of your path, and then every moment after would feel is not right. Even if it's some of the things that you've wanted to do or accomplish in your life, things that you think are good, because it's off your path and it's with this person that's not right. And all of it is kind of tainted by this icky not rightness and being not living up to your values and things like that. It weakens everything over here. So it's about standing up for yourself and following your heart. I feel like following your heart. All right. So that's what I have for you. If that resonates, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye.